So Matt's my business coach and he's helped me no end over the years, but he's not just helped me, he's helped the business community that I'm within across the whole of Loughborough and beyond.
I truly believe that most people have the potential to achieve whatever they want, there's just some blockers in the way. So if we can get people to remove those blockers and then add on the tools as needed, that's how success is achieved.
We want to share what motivates him, what drives him to really give his all to make that community thrive.
For me, everything I do with any of the coaching programs I'm on, or more personally in life, it's about helping people, but helping people fulfill their potential. But living a great life every day, for me, is the goal.
Firstly, I'd just like to say thank you for all of the support that you've kind of given CoLab and myself over the last few years with coaching. That's why I wanted to invite you on to Inspire to Thrive, because the whole kind of concept behind this is to really think about how we help each other to feel inspired to thrive. And that's a collaborative process. And you and I collaborate a lot. So I really wanted to kind of sort of like bring you in at the, kind of sort of early stage in season 1, where we can really kind of sort of like talk about where we're currently at now, with your business and how we're collaborating, how, we can support each other. But I'm sure we'll continue this conversation as things grow and as things develop and, as we reach our goals. So one of the first questions is what really motivates you to do what you do?
I'm primarily driven by wanting to help people. So my background was in finance. I kind of ended up in finance, I suppose, more than anything. But during the course of that element of my career, it became really clear to me that I didn't like to see people sort of held back or not fulfilling their potential. So for me, everything I do with any of the coaching programs I'm on, or more personally in life, it's about helping people, but helping people fulfill their potential. So it's a high performance, challenging approach to how I go about doing things, but it's with the best intentions so that people can live a great life.
Nice. And you certainly do that, kind of, I kind of seen that. So what's in your toolbox to help people?
It's an interesting question, that, because I have that a lot when I start talking to people about working together. But there's not a process for me, because everyone's different, everyone's got different background, different view of the world, and a different current reality. So the key element of the toolbox for me is the ability to talk to people, but the ability to ask great questions. Not for my sake, but to help the individual realize things and look at things in a slightly different way for themselves. So great conversations with great questionings is probably the sort of main tool, if you want to call it that. And behind that, there's all sorts of other things: psychometric profiling, all the cash flow, business planning, strategy, sales, marketing, finance, culture, management, whatever it might be. But that I truly believe that most people have the potential to achieve whatever they want. There's just some blockers in the way. So if we can get people to remove those blockers and then add on the tools as needed, that's how success is achieved.
So what inspires you on a personal level?
For me, to help as many people as I can, and that's both in the sort of business community, the wider world, but also, I view my role as a father and a husband. I want to help my wife and my children fulfill their potential. I have to be the standard. So I read this amazing thing the other day, and it said, you can't give what you haven't got already. So if I'm going to be out there saying to people, here's how you live a great life, I've got to be doing it myself. I've got to be, the best husband I can be. Natalie might say that sometimes that standard drops, but I've got to be, how do I become the best husband? Not just saying it means nothing. How am I learning? What books am I reading about being a great husband, about communicating? What am I learning about being a father to boys? What am I understanding about how, Jasper's 15, how his brain's changing at the moment? So instead of it being all about me, I've got to think about, how do I become the best version of myself? If I'm the best version of myself and doing everything to the standard which I believe other people should do, then the universe will repay that back to me. So that's kind of the approach I take to it.
So what is your standard? What's your milestone? What's your kind of measurement of success and great?
World class.
World class.
Yeah,
What does that mean?
just means being the best in the world. For me, there's no reason why you can't achieve anything you want to achieve in life, why I can't. There's, what does world class look like as a coach? Tony Robbins, for example, someone like that. Jim Rohn, someone like that. There's no reason I can't do that. That's the standard, right? But it doesn't mean that that's my goal. I think there's two different ways of operating. I'm the one that has to, finish every day and go, have I done the best that I can do in the day based on what I've got and where I'm at during the course of the day. That's the standard. If I can go, I couldn't have done any more, then great. If I can reflect and say, actually, maybe could have done that differently, shouldn't have done that, could have done that, every day, little bit by bit by bit, that's it, and that's world-class standard to me.
And I like that, the difference between standards and goals. So what are your dreams? What's the big goal?
Now, there's a lot of views of goal setting. Okay, the importance of it, what great goals mean, what great goals could or should be. I take, and I've done a lot of reading on this over my own journey of self-discovery, of reading all sorts of things, so science-based, Buddhist-based, spirituality-based. But living a great life every day, for me, is the goal. So my goals and aspirations set the direction for where I want to be, and then enable me to focus my actions in today to achieve something in the future. So that's the objective of the goal setting for me. But if that's at the expense of making every day great, what's the point? Because I can get there in 2, 10, 5 years' time and go, here you go, Dan, look, I've bought my villa in Ibiza, I've got the nice car that I want, I've got savings, pensions, whatever. And you go, that's great, Matt. Yeah, but Natalie's left me and the boys don't talk to me anymore. I'm clinically obese and I can't walk up a set of flights without being out of breath. What have I achieved? I've not actually achieved anything. But if that's my direction, but then every day I'm saying to myself, what is the process I need to go through to get there, where all parts of my life are considered in that process. So yeah, I want to be a great coach, but I also want to be a great husband. I want to be financially astute and have investments that earn me money when I'm not doing anything. I want to be a great father and have a great relationship with my kids. I want to be healthy. I want to be in the best shape of my life. All of those things require choice and compromise every day. It requires choice about the actions to take. It requires choice about what to drink, what not to drink, what to eat, what not to eat. Am I going to work today? Am I going to exercise today? Am I going to spend time with friends? Am I going to work? There's always choices that we've got to make along the way. And the challenge, but also the opportunity for success, is to say, what choices am I making today that are going to enable all of these things to happen, where there isn't a payoff? Day to day, living a great life, for me, is the goal.
And that's one of the things which I really value you when you're coaching me, is it's not, the KPI isn't about financial success, it's about lifestyle success. And how do you help people change that mindset? Because so often business terminology, business media, we're exposed by this thing around financial wealth is success.
Yeah.
Material objects, capitalism is the answer. How do you help to change people's mindsets to help them think more around the lifestyle and those KPIs?
I suppose I'm constantly taking things in myself. So that's sort of part of the job. I see it as being a world-class coach, is to take things in, new ways of thinking, new books, new theories, new practices, new tools, whatever it might be, and then making them relevant for the individual. So for a lot of business owners, they've either lost track of why they went into business in the first place, or what they want a great life to be like. So forget even going into business. You ask any business owner, what does a great life look like for you? They've either lost track of it or they never thought about that in the first place. And from there, once you get that, everything kind of flows from it. Because I can say, so if you want your life to be like that, you want to have this great relationship with your wife, you want to be this to your kids, your partner, whatever it might be, just now talk me through your current reality. So it's back to that toolkit of asking questions. And invariably, the person's going to say there's a massive gap between what I want a great life looks like, and my current reality. And then it's about bridging the gap. That's through clear goals. It's through some education potentially. I don't know how to do that. Through accountability, but also giving people the permission to realize that thinking differently about something isn't a sign of failure or a weakness or you've done something wrong. That's just the growth journey. So I started my business and have pivoted it 2, 3, 4 times about the direction and the end goal I thought it was. And I am 100% comfortable with that, because we're all growing as individuals every day. The world's changing. 3 years ago, no one ever heard of this thing called COVID-19, or changed everyone's view of the world, one way or the other. So we're all constantly being shaped by what happens around us all the time. So for me to sit down with you as a client and go, right, Dan, let's set a goal for 10 years and then set every specific milestone that's going to happen over 10 years and then break it down into quarters and then break it down into months is deluded. Yeah, we set that direction about the end goal, but then your view of the world and what's important to you could change in an instant. Yeah, it did. Right? Didn't it? With Josh, you know? So what's important to you in that moment shifted the next day. So we had to pivot the business accordingly to get you through that stage. And it was a support, it was keep it going. And then now it's like, right, that's sorted. Ricky, now what's next? So we're all growing as individuals the whole time, and it's the ability to respond in the moment to what's happening and make decisions on that basis is what determines the success as well.
I think that's so interesting. It's the way that you react and you kind of are in a position to respond to situations that you can't control.
Yeah.
None of us could control, kind of lockdown, and we all kind of went through that journey together. And I think that building resilience is so kind of important as a society for us all actually to learn that things are out of our control and life isn't kind of sort of like set. But when you're looking and working with people who kind of, I suppose, get this kind of way of thinking, what behaviours and attributes do you see within those business owners, within those business leaders, and how does that help them, one, inspire themselves, but also help other people to feel inspired to thrive?
The starting point when I work with anybody has to be a desire to change. Okay, so people don't have to understand how we operate or even what needs to be done, but they have to go, do you know what? The current reality for me isn't where I want to be. And I trust you, Matt. I trust your systems. I trust what you're about. I trust where you're coming from, what your motives are. So I'm going to embark on this journey of trying to affect some change. So that for me is normally the starting point. What we see in these people is that there's a desire to change, i.e. things can be different for how they are now, that maybe what they thought being in business and being a business owner was like isn't what it currently is for them. You know, no one knows what running a business is like until you start doing it. You can buy all the books and you can do all the courses and all that. But until you're the business owner where you're paying your mortgage and you're sitting awake at night thinking, where's the work coming from? Because I've promised my partner and whatever, my kids, that I'm going to do this great thing and it's not working out. Until you're there, you don't know what it's like. Okay. Once the desire to change and they're up and running, it's consistency and persistency. Consistency is doing the stuff that you don't want to do. It's coming on a call with me once a fortnight and getting some accountability, some challenge about what you're doing, getting some challenge about why you've not done what you said you're going to do, getting challenge on your mindset, getting challenge on your view of the world, saying, I'm thinking of this, and then I'll say to you, okay, Dan, what about this? And you're like, man, where's that come from? But that's to grow you, so you've got to be prepared for the challenge. And the persistency is keeping going. When it doesn't feel like it's working, when the results aren't there for you straight away, there's no magic wand to any of it. If you want to thrive, you have to do things that you've not done before. You have to put yourself in uncomfortable situations. You talk about reacting there and everything like that. An Olympic athlete who's on a 4-year Olympic cycle doesn't just go on a computer program and go, do this, do that, because we'd all do it. Yeah, you have to have that commitment to the end goal, commitment to the way you want your life to be like, what you want to be known for, what you want to achieve, whatever it might be. But then get your process in place and trust the process, but do the things that you don't want to do. Because no one would anyone who's on a success journey would put themselves through what they do to achieve success without a valid reason for it. Yeah? And too often people put themselves through, we could probably say some names now. We know they're working 70 hours a week, whatever. We know they're probably not earning the money they want. We know they're probably unhealthy. They're probably drinking too much. All of these things are happening, but they're just completely stuck. That's the mindset at the moment. So shaking it up, and that consistency and persistency is key.
What advice would you give to someone who is feeling stuck, who does want to change that mindset, but they're not quite sure how to get that motivation, that self-belief that they can get through whatever chapter they might be facing to get to, kind of sort of a position where they are positive, they are in a kind of sort of like back on track?
So they either need to get some support to help them through it, or some challenge. The balance between challenge and support is what creates change. I can flip between the two as a coach. I've got some clients who need my support a lot of the time, other people who need a challenge. If someone's feeling stuck, they've got to, unless they understand the consequences of staying the same and what that's going to mean, they'll stay the same. Eating a donut a day doesn't make a difference on a daily basis. You eat a donut a day for 5 years. That's the consequence. 2 pints a night, whatever it might be. It's working 70 hours a week and not seeing your partner, not seeing your kids, whatever it might be. It's a lack of awareness of the consequence of your actions and the trajectory that's going to have on your life and where that's going to end up. That's why people don't change. And that's sort of my job, is to hold the mirror up sometimes.
Some people, though, don't want to change. Like we saw that with then the pandemic, didn't we? Like the resistance to change is very hard on a social, a huge social level. How can somebody feel kind of sort of that motivation or that ability, that confidence, almost self-confidence to go, I can change?
Yeah. See, at a deeper level, do they not want to change, or are they scared to change? It's normally a fear of change. It's a fear of the unknown again. It's out of my control. Because if someone actually does get a level of awareness whereby the consequence of eating a donut a day, of not checking the bank balance, of not checking the debtors in the business, whatever it is, it's a reality check. And it creates a feeling that as humans, we're almost evolved to not want to have. We don't want to have uncomfortable feelings. So it's the fear of change is what stops people making the actions to change. So my job is to, one, highlight what doing nothing means, but then two, break down that fear to say, actually, it's all right. We're growing businesses here. We're trying to live great lives. There's a lot more dangerous things we could be doing, where a mistake has a far bigger consequence. And my wife's a breast care nurse. I know some surgeons and stuff like that. The consequences of change and taking a step to make change for us aren't that bad. The consequences of staying the same are. Yeah? If you can level yourself and accept the worst case result of taking a step, that's when I'm like, just do it.
Can you give me some examples, or tell us some stories about kind of some of the clients and some of the businesses that you've helped, and how they might have resisted change or feared change, and then once the pennies dropped, what's happened? What have they achieved?
So I started working with somebody about 4 years ago now. Very big, very successful business. It wasn't what we initially started talking. It was about a profitability angle on it. Became apparent that the business had scaled very quickly because they had excellent customer service, but it scaled from a people and a systems perspective beyond what was required. So it's just hammering margin. But actually, why the individual went into business in the first place, he'd lost complete track of, because it was never about size. It was about the life he wanted to lead, the example he wanted to be to his children, And there was some financial elements to it, but also in the way he believed that his product and service should be delivered to the world. Yes. So once we reconnected with that enabled effectively a 2-year turnaround of the business to happen. And when the business reconnected with what he went into business for in the first place and what his values are, what he's passionate about, what the purpose of the business is, lo and behold, the team becomes more engaged. The team becomes more engaged in improving the systems and the processes. The end product becomes better because there's purpose behind it and all the stupid stuff they were doing has been stripped away. So the customer gets a better service. So the customer wants more. They get a better reputation. So new customers come in. So he's actually got a better business that's far more profitable, that he enjoys running, that is 100% aligned with the life he wants to lead, because he previously just chased size.
Nice. That's a really good example. And just that shift in mindset, isn't it? Going back to that emotive direction that you said, their North Star isn't about profitability and financial return.
It might be, it might be, but it wasn't for him. Even if someone says to me, Matt, hey, what does everyone say? I want to turn over £1 million. That's a magic number. I'm like, okay, just talk me through it. I'll just be nice, wouldn't it? Okay, what's £1 million going to give you? You break it down, £1 million turnover, whatever. And I said, so that's roughly what you're going to end up with. What does that mean? And they're like, oh, I don't know. Right, what are your personal goals? Set that. What are your financial requirements to achieve personal goals? Which there often is. Let's not beat around the bush. We're in business to make profit, so we can live a life we want to lead. Okay, you want this house, you want to do this with your holidays, cars, school fees, whatever it might be. Okay, so in order for that to be in your pocket a year, based off the way your business is set up at the moment, from a margin perspective, your turnover needs to be that. So actually, forget $1 million, it needs to be 1.2. Forget $1 million, it needs to be 750 grand, and you can achieve it. Oh, and it's some people, it's like they've completely lost track of it. They're in day to day, head down, chase it. I've forgotten why. The Olympics are in 4 years. There's no milestone achievement that says this is what I'm doing it for. And once you get there, this is what I'm doing it for. People get it then. It makes my job is to say, all right, Dan, you don't worry about your marketing plan, whatever. It's all right, the kids won't go on holiday next year. It's fine, they'll be all right. Don't need to say much more than that. You'll get that marketing plan done.
It's interesting, isn't it? It goes back to that consequence and those drivers and what are your motivators.
Yeah.
So I really value you as a coach, Matt Bull, but I'm also now involved with a much bigger community, and that's what I also, has hooked me in.
Yeah.
Tell me a bit more about Action Coach on a global level, and how does that help you to feel inspired, to thrive, and then to continue to help your community to thrive?
We're shaped as individuals by the people around us. There's about 600 other coaches globally, of which about 250 in the UK at the moment. So I feed in different elements of world-class coaches and other coaches to shape me as to who I am. So there will be some coaches who are really into finance, really into sales and marketing, really into whatever, who run certain processes in certain ways, offer certain products and services in certain ways. And that enables me to reflect and bring those into who I am and what I'm trying to achieve, to say, is that going to make me better or not? Is it something that my clients and my community would value or not? So otherwise I'll be trying to figure it all out myself all the time. And for me to think that as an individual, that I can figure everything out to be the best version of myself is just completely naive. So there's 2 action coaches coaching me at the moment on two different areas that I wanted to improve on. I looked at myself and went, I need to get better at that, I need to get better at that. And I've got 2 other coaches as well on fitness and mindset and a wealth coach. They're shaping me, who I am and what I'm about. So from an action coach perspective, yeah, day to day I'm on the ground doing what I'm doing, but I've got Brad Sugars in Las Vegas telling us here's where the coaching industry is going in the next 5 years and here's where we're going. I don't have to think about that. He's doing it, and then he cascades down. Global conferences, there's people all over the world achieving great things, launching new products that we then get to see how they've done it. How does it apply to us? So I get it a lot actually. People say, why don't you go off on your own? I'm like, no, it's not what I want to do. Done on my own. Why would I want to do something on my own if I can have great people who are better than me, who inspire me to thrive? If they're there, and I'm tapping into them. I want to know how he's done that. Yeah, if I'm not part of the community, I'm an outsider just looking at him going, I wonder how he's done that. Literally today, I've emailed someone going, that new 12-week management program, can I speak to you about it next week? So I want to take it out to some businesses I know. He's like, yeah, Matt, book half an hour, love to share. Pure abundance in everything. No one's there going, oh yeah, I'm really good, I'm not sharing it with you. I can literally reach out to any action coach in the world and say, so you've done quite good, can I have half an hour on the phone? And I'll do it as well. I do a lot with people who are looking to become action coaches. Ian and Julie in the UK are like giving out my number, whatever. I don't mind, but people are like, what's it like? And I'll tell you, here's what it's like for me. Half an hour, why not? Helping people, that's the same thing.
I really like that bit of abundance and that confidence to share. Why is it important for people, business owners, to invest in their own learning development and that abundance, but also then give that permission and that space for their people to have that same opportunity?
There used to be a phrase that we used to use called, if you're not growing, you're dying. We sort of had to change it a little bit. It's now, if you're not growing, you're standing still. So if anyone, it's back to the consequences thing again. If you think who you are now, or who I am, or who anyone is a finished product and there is no room for growth, guess what? There ain't going to be any growth. If you keep doing what you've always done, you'll get what you've always got. Worst case, if you keep doing what you've always done, that trajectory is going to take you to a negative place in business or in life. There's got to be that awareness in the moment about the choices that you're making. It's one of the first things I'll say to people if they come to me with an issue. They'll say, Matt, I've got this problem with my team. And I'll say, that's great. I say, what have you learned? What are you learning about management? What can you tell me about management? I've never read a book on it. Yeah, read this book, get yourself informed on it a little bit, and then we'll start figuring out what it means to you. Just because there's a book there doesn't mean that it's every page and every word of it is right for who Dan Lamoon is and where CoLab is. The book's job or education's job is for the individual to say that's relevant to me and where the direction I'm going in. Not just go, I've read this book, therefore I'm going to implement every single page on it. It's like, it won't work like that. So as an individual, constant growth through learning. Learning can be the acquisition of knowledge. It can be realizing that you don't need something. Nothing better than reading a book and going, didn't mean anything to me. Guess what? You know that don't mean anything to you now. That's cool. You've grown. From a team perspective, business owner's job, get great people, get them to grow your business for you. If they're not growing, they ain't growing your business. Fact, right? Absolute fact. If you don't grow them, they'll go somewhere else and grow. We cannot set out that we're aspirational as business owners and we have growth-focused organizations and then have team that aren't growth-focused as well. Now that, people find this interesting. That might mean that we identify within one of our team that they want to go traveling in 3 years or they want to own their own business in 3 years' time. Let's help people grow as individuals as well as in business. Grow them, get them to buy in, get them to grow your business for you, and then that's the freedom and choice that every business owner wants.
That's a brilliant answer. And for people who might not be able to almost get that understanding about what their team's aspirations are, what their goals are, what advice would you give to people to kind of start those conversations and then to nurture, to get somebody, an employee, into a growth mindset?
You just said it. It's just start the conversation. That's what it needs. It is just what conversations you're having with your team. Don't need to be sit down and fill out a form and anything like that. It's, all right, Bob, all right, Deirdre, let's go for a walk. How are things at the moment? How are you feeling about your job? Start a conversation with people. We're humans. That's what we're designed to do. We've evolved by communicating. With any business issue, right, that's finance related, marketing or sales related, or people related, it's always a communication issue. That's what I believe. Belief, so it doesn't mean it's fact, it's a belief. I'll acknowledge that now. But if there's such a thing as a fact belief, that's what it is, right? So communicate with people, because what business owners are really good at, they'll go, Bob's not performing at the moment, Matt. I'm like, oh, okay. So have we spoken to Bob about the issues that you're currently experiencing? No, I've not spoken to him yet. How long has this been going on for? 6 weeks now. Right, okay. What's Bob's view of the world? We speak to Bob. Bob offers this completely different perspective that actually identifies a management issue, not a Bob issue. Because guess what? The business owner recruited Bob, the business owner inducted Bob, and the business owner manages Bob day to day. But the business owner thinks it's Bob's fault, that Bob's behaving the way he is. Nah, don't worry about that. Communication. Start the conversation. Get to know people. Get to know what drives them. Get to know what matters to them. They might have stuff going on at home, or they will have stuff going on at home. But if you don't know what, you don't know why they're coming in and sitting down, just getting on with work without saying hello. You get to understand them, get to know them, start the conversation, bring in all the other frameworks and toolkits and all that down the line, but just start the conversation initially.
Nice. That's so true, isn't it? And we are human. We're all human. We've got to understand that.
Yep.
Business is about humans rather than about numbers.
Yeah, completely. Yeah.
So you mentioned earlier about how you kind of recommend people to read different books, or you recommend, kind of what might be the right knowledge for them to start, kind of like learning from. What current books are you listening to? What chapter are you in at the moment?
Bit of systems and process stuff. A book called Systemology, which is quite good. I'm always been fascinated about high performing military teams. So I'm quite like Navy SEALs, that type of thing, how they operate, because that's all about reacting in the moment. And I love the stories of what some of them sort of have gone through to achieve an end goal, because that ain't just setting a goal and going out and doing it. There's all sorts of stuff I'm learning, so I find that quite inspiring. But that's it. I'm pretty focused at the moment. I wouldn't say I'm not learning, so I've got a lot of coaches who provide a lot of challenge. So it's a lot for me at the moment is around mindset and understanding who I am in a bit more detail. So I'm not consciously focusing on an area for where I'm at the moment, which is because I've realigned myself in the last 90 days with my coach. So that involves a lot of personal goal setting, but business goal setting as well. The learning specifically will come over the course of the next 6 quarters towards the end goal, or the immediate end goal, to the end of December 2024. That will involve some very specific learning. But at the moment, it's been a stop, reconnect with myself, what's important to me, to then set the goal. That's where I'm at the moment.
Nice. And it's so interesting, Nick, because you've recommended Systemology to myself, and I'm kind of hooked now on that. I've just wanting to kind of sort of like fill my brain with that kind of knowledge. And it's something which 2 years, 3 years ago with Growing CoLab, I wasn't at that position. I wasn't in that chapter. I was still in kind of sort of like development stage, kind of sort of like building what the business was, thinking about marketing. Now I'm kind of hooked because, and from a creative person, I'm hooked on something which isn't my natural go-to tendency. You kind of helped inspire me to do that, but now opening me up into those worlds of things like clockwork, Systemology. I'm not actually just hooked on building the process, because I actually find that quite difficult. The bit which it's given me permission to do is open it up to the team for them to then feed into that. And actually I'm the bottleneck. And I've realised, and I've got the confidence now to say, I'm the thing that's holding this back. Let's not do it the way that I'm doing it. Let's do it the way that they want to do it, and how can we collaborate on that? And the bit which I think is really interesting is, from your coaching, you've given me that kind of confidence to change my mindset to think in a different way. How How do you do that with, companies or business owners like myself, when we are all kind of a bit stuck in our way? We are all, we're quite hard to manage. That's one of the reasons why we set up a business. How do you kind of achieve that, and how do you help people change that mindset?
So if you think about, we'll talk about where you're at and where you want to get to. So it's the same thing with like the athlete or the Olympic thing. It's like, right, I want to be here in 4 years' time, or this is what my life to be like, this is what my business to be like. My job is to then look ahead and go, okay, what needs to happen along the way to get there? And that could be various different things. Okay. So with the system bit with yourself and the process bit, for example, you just said it right, you were the bottleneck. Okay, so that business is only going to grow so much unless there's a systemized way of it operating. Now, it's the same for every business, but it became very clear to me that there was going to be what I call it like an execution gap, which is what we're aiming for and the current ability of the business to deliver. So that's where the system and the process bit came in, because it was always going to go through people. Now, if you'd have said, or any business says to me, I want to stay the same size, you go, okay, so what do we need to do to make that happen? It's as simple as that. So with you, it was, well, actually, if we're going to make the business this, not only just deliver what it wants to deliver from a customer and service perspective, but also operate in a certain way, because that culture piece, the people piece, the inspiration to thrive within your business is so important to you. There's got to be a framework there to make it happen. Yeah, so that's the bit for me, is to say, okay, what do I need to give Dan to enable him to achieve what he wants to achieve? Now, you might come on a coaching session, and this might have happened, and talk to me for about 35 minutes about what you think you're going to do. And that's great. But then I know that actually there needs to be a little bit of challenge to that way of thinking. I've got to let you do it, because otherwise it's my journey, isn't it? It's not my job to say, Dan, you need to do this. You can wait for me. That's just told me what to do. You had a view about where you wanted to take it, and then I offered a different view. So, right, what are you going to take it forward with? I can leave that with you for 2 weeks, and you come back and go, right, mate, I get it. Here's what I'm going to do next. Ah, brilliant. So we just righted the thing a little bit. And that's the job of a great coach. Yeah, what my coaches do to me, they go, it could be that, Matt. What else could it be? I'm like, oh, man, I thought I was clear on it. But it's growth. It's open-minded to other ways that might happen. You're open-minded to it, which is what I said at the start. Being open-minded is the, maybe not the desire to change, because humans stay the way we are, safety blanket, all that type of stuff. But it's going, actually, there is a change. There's got to be a change happening in order to get the end goal. Without that awareness that change is important as part of a journey to achieve something great, that's when people stay where they are. That's why some people aren't right for coaching. I believe everyone should have a coach, but some people aren't in the right mindset for coach because they don't want to change, or they've got that fear of change. I'll have a conversation with anybody, but if they actually just say, no, Matt, I'm not changing, don't. That's cool with me.
So I think it's interesting what you're saying there, that whole kind of sort of like piece of almost this seesaw of support and challenge. Kind of it's how then kind of sort of that's delivered in the right way, because sometimes challenge can be delivered in the wrong way and actually it puts someone off. How do you find that balance?
So for me, that's about style and almost candor associated with how I coach. So there's also back to that idea of where am I coming from with who I am as an individual. If I'm congruent with who I am as a father, a husband, a business owner, my diet, my exercise, my own coaches and everything like that, when I deliver a message, it's really clear where it's coming from, and it's with the best interests of the individual. So it's delivering messages that people don't want to hear sometimes as well, but that's part of the job. So for me, I've got no problem with, and I'll be really clear with people what I'm doing as well. I'll sometimes say, look, I'm going to say something now, you're probably not going to like it, but here's what it looks like to me. Or have you ever thought of it this way? Sometimes I'll just be really blunt and go, it looks to me like that. I'm right, I'll shut up. Get a reaction, wicked, you got a reaction. All right, how do you feel now? I feel like you're an idiot, Matt, and wish you'd not said that to me, but you're right. Okay, what you can do about it? I'm going to start doing this. Okay, cool, get on with it. See you later.
Nice. So if I had a genie's lamp
Yeah.
and I gave you 3 wishes, what would they be? Personal, business, anything in your life.
Good question. I hate questions like this. I'm just rubbish at questions like this. I'd like to see everybody have an opportunity to better themselves. Like everyone in the world have an opportunity to better themselves. That's like my global, holistic view of the world. From a personal perspective, what I like, rubber lamp. It really, you see, this is really hard for me because I don't believe that anything doesn't happen without hard work and without going through a process and without growth. So the concept of just creating something like that, I'm like, oh. But then, because on my dream board it says a Villa in Ibiza. If it just happened, I'd be like, well, that's rubbish.
So the wish is almost the journey to get to Ibiza.
Yeah.
When you get to Ibiza, you're going to want to go somewhere else.
Yeah, but it's not. But the wish is like almost make believe, isn't it? But it's going to happen. I'm enjoying the journey to get there. So just to genie it and go, it's there now. If I rocked up to it, I'd be like, it's nice, but it ain't work forever.
You're like Aladdin then. You're going to give your last wish then to the genie.
Yeah, I do that.
Free him to
I do that, yeah.
Which goes back to everybody then gets an opportunity to, to thrive and to be part of that.
Yeah, I do think that if everybody had the opportunity to better themselves in one way or the other, then wouldn't that just be great? Whoever you are, wherever you are, you don't feel in any way restricted, in any way like you haven't either got a voice or an opportunity to move forward in any way. Like a world where that is eliminated, I'll just have that one wish. Give one back to a genie. Wish to do the one. I'll just have a house by the sea. That's for me.
Mat space.
Not the Villa in Ibiza, because that's the big goal, but just a mat space by the sea. Something relatively modest.
For you to build the dream, for you to build and work on those bits.
Yeah, I'd have the dream HQ.
Nice.
Where I'd just go and work on the business and look at the sea, because I get a bit twitchy if I don't go near the sea too often.
Brilliant.
I'll do that.
So to wrap things up then, and you just mentioned, kind of sort of everybody in the world to kind of sort of have this opportunity, what advice would you give to us all on how we can collaboratively work together for society to thrive? Because we're in a difficult time.
Yeah. I mean, as humans, again, we are collaborators. We sit around the campfire, we talk about things. That's how we've evolved. It's why we're still here now. Over time, we sat around the campfire and we went, right, we've harvested all this stuff here, so we need to go somewhere else. Should we do that? And everyone goes, yeah, cool, we'll go and do that. So it's within us to collaborate. We put silos in realistically over the last 20 or 30 years. The Industrial Revolution was not about silo, that was about people doing stuff together. Back to that point about change. Back to that point about what could happen if I did this. We became very ego-driven, it's all about me, I call it ambition, all this hustle, this entrepreneur narrative implies a degree of individuality about how we go about doing things. Yeah, we need to be driven. Yeah, we've got to be clear about our goals. But yeah, I don't think you can show me anyone who's achieved any level of success in the world and they have not done it solely on their own. Yet, and that could be a businessman, Steve Jobs, Bezos, whoever you want to think is a good businessman, even someone locally who's a good business person. We all know people who've got good businesses. Any sportsman, any military team who's achieved anything, never done it on their own. For some reason, small business owners especially think they've got to do it on their own. They think they've got to work 70 hours. They think they've not got to share their journey with other business owners. They think they don't not need a coach, but it's like, oh yeah, coaching's not for me. It's like, oh, okay, do it on your own. That's fine. You are that good at what you do already that you'll achieve. But actually, they're stuck and they're frustrated.
And that's nice. It brings it all together. It brings everyone to work together and everyone to share.
Yeah,
it goes back to what
it's one of the best things that I can ever say to someone is that if you think you can do it on your own, you crack on. but how's it worked out for you so far? Often I don't need to say much more than that. And I guarantee, and what I'll always do is, if they don't, the conversation goes any further, and I'm fine with that, by the way. So don't want to work with everybody, don't need to work with everybody. I'm more than happy to say to people, we're not right for each other as well, by the way. But someone who says, I'm going to do it on my own, thanks, Matt, I get what you said, but I'm going to do it on my own. I can ring them in 6 months' time and go, what's changed? Nothing will have changed. Because they've not changed. They're not going to grow, they don't expect the business to grow. And they'll get caught out, because one thing at the moment, everything is happening quicker. Marketing, consumer, business decisions, everything like that happening quicker. Employees making decisions about, do I want to leave the job, happening quicker, because there's so much information out there. So if as a business owner, you think that who you are at the moment is perfect and there is no room for improvement, whilst the world is constantly changing around you, the business world's changing around you, the market you serve now is changing around you. There are people developing new services and products now. There are employees looking at your business deciding to not work for it. There are employees in your business deciding, am I still want to work here in 3 months' time? All of that is happening around you all the time. And you think that you're the finished article and don't need to improve, you'll get found out.
And that is so the reason why, you know, I kind of value being part of Action Coach in the bigger community, and especially hearing today, you know, how you've got 4 coaches, you're showing your vulnerabilities, or maybe not so much vulnerabilities, your areas for development.
Mate, huge vulnerability, huge vulnerability. Yeah, the coach I've got at the moment is so, he's known for being challenge and accountability. I'm getting stuff done now, because it's an area of mine, I let myself off. Vulnerability, area of development, whatever. Yeah, I'm all right because I'm cool every day because I've got my kids and I've got my health and love the world. That's great, but it means that I tend to do that from a growth perspective. So now I'm doing that because I've got a challenge coaching basically. Literally the remit is make sure I do what I said you're going to do. And man, it gets into me.
I like it, the drill master.
Yeah.
Is that why you've been a bit tougher with me at the moment?
But that's the thing, it makes me a better coach as well. So I get all these coaches around me. I'm like, oh, I'll bring that into what I do, bring that into it. But I learn from all you guys all the time as well. I'm looking at, here's what Dan, I look what Dan, how the way Dan does that. Because you're different to me. And I go, man, like, what can I do about that? Great.
Nice one. Well, thank you, Matt. Thanks for
It's a pleasure.
Absolute pleasure.
Yeah,
Cheers, mate.
love the series. Looking forward to seeing more of the episodes.